We have a number of questions which we would will take in random order. Our expectation is that you'll be presenting a proposed long-term strategic development plan. You seem to have presented ideas for a sector plan just in the agriculture sector. Is there a separate, wider, long-term plan that we're not yet aware of? I mean, I know you talked about a rescue development plan 2012 to 2015, which has been rolled over to 2016 to 2018. So you don't need support in that area. You just need support to develop this sector plan. Is that correct?
Okay, thank you. Basically, this is not a sector plan. You remember what I said in the key challenges? I said there may be inter-ministerial rivalry because the focus connects a number of sectors. Now, again, like you said, we said that this is agriculture and rural industrialization. Rural industrialization. We don't want to talk about the big industrialization programs that may not be achievable right now. So that's why we're looking at rural industrialization that will catalyze, springing up of small industries, cottage industries, basically that will offtake these agricultural products. Now, for us, we have a competitive advantage in agriculture and farming. For example, in Imo State, just like I said, we have over 344,000 cultivable landmass, unlike most states in the region. So we are well positioned to do enough of agriculture. And that's why we're looking into agribusiness development, because that will really generate jobs, also industrialize the rural areas. We're not talking about big projects that may not be realizable. We have some of them that have not really worked. So that's why we're not looking in that direction. Thank you.
Okay, I understand that. It's just, I don't know what your long-term plans are for health, for education, for power, infrastructure, governance. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you have that somewhere else?
Okay, hold on, sir. Basically, the task that we were asked to do is to do to propose an idea of what we want to achieve. It is when we begin the planning process, that's when all these other issues will be taken care of. I don't know if it's clear. We are just asked to do. By the time we begin to do the planning with the consultants and the support that we anticipate to have, that we will not take care of every other aspect. But the major issue is we want to affect the lives of the rural people. The rural people, that's our focus. Whatever thing that will improve their economies and improve their lives, that's what we want to focus on. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think to be able to help me answer the question, I'm just going to think of it, your presentation as agriculture and rural development being the overarching goal, and out of that, you will then plan how that will influence education, or influence health, or influence. Okay.
Okay, but let me help you. Just like I said. Just like I said. We have already achieved free education at all levels. That has happened since 2011. So it will continue by the grace of God. So we won't bother ourselves in looking in that direction.
No, you need to look in that direction, because if agriculture is your main goal, then you have to look at what have you done in education in order to make sure that farmers have an education, or that you have a school of agriculture. That's how planning is done. So you have a goal, and then you have to look at, okay, do I have a veterinary? If you're going to be looking at animal husbandry, do I have a veterinary institution? Do I have to strengthen that? Do I have a school of agriculture? So you have to look at all those other things, because your goal is agriculture. So you have to work backwards to see what it is that you need. But my question is, and this is leading to the question that I want, my first question is, what exactly did you do to come up with this? Did you have, consultation within the state? Because you talked about rivalry within the state, which gives me the impression that the people within the ministries were not part of coming up with this plan. If not, there should be no rivalry. So I just wanted to know, what was the process that threw up this agricultural plan?
Okay. Basically, the key ministries were part of the process. For example, sitting with me is the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance. He's representing the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Agriculture. And like I said, the planning Permanent Secretary would have been here, but there's a budget today. So they were part of this. Now, but we envisage is a case where, after the process, they might not be there all the time, and the commissioners that may come may begin to quarrel over who to head. I do understand what I'm saying. So that's just we envisage something like that may happen. But by the grace of God, we also we hope to popularize this process so that everyone will know that there won't be anything like that. But we're just envisaging there may be something like that. But we have the capacity to handle it. Thank you.
Let me just add on the education part that even assuming that you have achieved free education at all levels, there's a lot more to education than free education. There are issues of access, there are issues of quality, there are issues of efficiency, infrastructure, human capital. There are so many other issues beyond free education. But let's not belabor the point. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your presentation. I think I will just read through a couple of my questions, then you could take them one after the other. So my first question would be, your state has had series of development plans in the past, and I would like to ask for the seeds and the leads and the recovery development plan. How would you rate their success? To what extent were they successful? 60% successful, 70% successful? And what failed in those plans? And what caused the failures of those components that failed? And how do you intend to prevent those failures from repeating themselves if you are to embark on a new 30-year plan? So that's my first question. Okay. My second question will be, your conceptual framework is built around wealth creation through agribusiness development. I'd like to say, or I'd like to ask, what would be your, let's say, 5 priority focus? Let's say, what areas would you like to focus on? Maybe is it maybe shrimp development, milk production? What I know you can do a lot in agri, but what priority areas would you have? Then you mentioned the problems of agricultural products. Need to develop good storage technologies. Have you explored collaborations with researchers? Because there's a whole lot of interesting research projects going on across the country, especially around storage. Do you actively have collaboration plans with researchers, or do you plan to develop those kinds of plans as part of your long-term plan? Then maybe I should wrap up by asking about your value proposition. Maybe you should maybe help me build a mental picture. If this plan is implemented, some of the specific issues you raised, like issues of food security, issues of poverty, issues of unemployment, to what extent will this plan help solve some of these issues? For example, if unemployment is X, to what extent will the plan reduce it to say Y? If food security is at a certain point, to what extent will this long-term plan bring it down to a manageable level? Maybe you can just take 1 or 2 of the issues. And yeah.
Okay, I would have loved you to also take them one by one, because I don't know which one. Okay. To what extent the previous plans, right, succeeded or failed? Okay. I may not be able to really say how the previous plans succeeded, because I wasn't part of the government then, even though that every administration had a number of success stories that they have, but maybe because I wasn't part of that, I don't know how to say that now. But as I speak with you, I've been part of this government, the current administration. We have achieved, we'll call it Rescue Development Plan, and we have really achieved a lot in this regard. The pre-education policy I talked about at all levels is just one of those policies that we are currently implementing. Then the urbanization, urban renewal program is still in top gear and is really very successful. There are so many of them that I may not be able to remember now. But let me go to the other questions you asked. Which one was that? Okay, the crop. Okay, good. I said there are crops that will have comparative advantage. For example, cassava. Imo State is well known for cassava production because of the vast land mass, like I said before. So palm oil is one of them too. So we are not going to just focus on every commodity. We are going to focus on cassava, maize, rice, then palm oil, and just that, so that we don't. Then for livestock, we'll do poultry, we'll do piggery, and fish. So yeah, fish, because we have some riverine areas now. But we'll really focus a few of them so that we can really make substantive progress. Which other one?
So they have gone on the value proposition. What's the value proposition like? How is this
Okay, very good. Okay, now remember, like I said, what we have done is not the plan. We have not done a plan. Now, we are telling you what we want you to do with us. Are you getting it? So it is by the time we win the grant and sit down with the consultants, that's when we now begin to plan what we want, where we are and where we want to be. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is just a proposal of what we want you to help us do. Do you understand? But as I speak with you, when we implement this project, just like I said, wealth creation is going to create massive jobs for young people. Those of them that are in the rural areas, there won't be need to run around coming into town or even participate in youth reativeness, because they will be fully engaged. And the new technologies that we want to introduce will make the farming and the agricultural activities, friendly, young people friendly. So there won't be any form of rejection, because the way it is still being done is the crude way. So if we improve the technology, young people will be able to accept and then get fully engaged in the economic activities that are going on there. So that is exactly what we want to achieve.
Okay, so thank you. Some of my questions will just be dovetailing off some of the questions that have already been asked. So you had mentioned that the value chains you'll be focusing on. What's the development plan for those value chains? That's one of them. Also, you mentioned rivalry between different departments and different ministries. What is your plan for that intergovernmental coordination, relation, and collaboration between the ministries to achieve this? Also,
can I answer before I forget?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Just like we, the stakeholders that sat down to prepare this, we said we envisage this rivalry. Now, but it may not really come up, because it may not really come up. Let me just stop it there. Then, if eventually comes up, I think the legislation will take care of it. Will make provisions on how to, or who does what, which ministry does what, which agency does what. I think all of that will be spelled out during the legislation process. So we don't need to bother our heads right now until the process begins. Thank you.
Okay. You mentioned that in terms of sustainability, that there will be a new secretariat within the Ministry of Budget and Statistics.
Yes.
Why a new ad hoc committee? Why not work through the permanent institution to ensure the M&E?
I understand. Now, let me tell you why. The other stakeholders, we want to get other stakeholders involved. There are critical stakeholders in the state, so it's not going to be limited to government officials. That's why we are looking at getting civil society organizations into what we are doing. Then also getting farmers associations themselves to get involved, because it's going to make it sustainable. By the time all these stakeholders accept what we are doing, and also come up with their own ideas, what they think that will work, that will make it sustainable. Again, we're also trying to adopt the OGP model, the open government partnership model, where government actors meet in a steering committee with the private sector operators, civil society. So that's the model we want to adopt because that will make it really work and sustainable. So that's why we're looking in that direction.
Okay, and for my last question, in terms of your funding structure, I noticed the only thing you had, and also in the applications we received, the only thing you had was the counterpart. So, what is your IGR going to be used for? Are you looking at private sector? As in, all you had was just counterpart. So what are the other, avenues?
Sources.
Yes.
Okay.
That you're looking at in terms of funding.
Okay. Yeah. The truth is that there are other development partners that are already working with the government. And now, as I speak with you, there is the World Bank supported energy renewable energy project that is coming to Imo State. So they are going to partner with us in that aspect. And we say that if we are able to provide electricity using these renewable sources in the rural areas, it's going to really change their lives and also improve on the activities the economic activities we are talking about. That is just one that I want to mention now. Then there are others. There are a lot of activities going on in Imo State. So we just picked for this plan to work. See, what we have here, the counterpart funding we are talking about is for this plan. When we win this grant, we said that the government is willing to provide counterpart funding to support the planning process. We are not saying to implement the roadmap that we want to develop. I don't know if you get it now. Yeah. So we cannot ask other partners to support the planning process when we are getting grants from you.
Okay, I have one more question, and anybody on the panel is allowed to answer, is able to answer. And the question is this: what if you don't win this grant? Let's say, God forbid.
God forbid.
Yeah. What if you don't win these grants? How do you plan to fund this initiative, or do you plan to fund this initiative first of all, and then a related question is the rescue development plan from 2012 till date. To what is the relationship between that and the budget of Imo State to date?
Okay, first of all, thank you, sir. First of all, I want to let you know that whatever we are doing, we have already planned for it. Like you see that one of the attributes we mentioned there is the education, free education. It may sound as if it's an illusion. It's a practical thing. We already have education trust fund in Imo State. And at least I represent an institution there. I'm a member of that trust fund. And we have a lot of money there. We've been sustaining it for the past 4 years, or even beyond, because it started in 2012, precisely. So we have trust fund. And I know you will give it to us. If we win, we're certainly going to have a trust fund on this, and we're going to plan towards it. But for now, we were following the template given to us while we were preparing this. And we think agriculture is the mainstay of livelihood in Imo State, and we concentrated on that. There are a few things that you may not readily get from our preparation because we are at the formation of it. If we don't eventually get it, we can re-strategize, we can start off again, but I know we're going to win if we are actually doing it on merit, because we put enough effort and we are practical. There is no illusory act there, or anything that will look strange to our presentation. So I think with this, I can stop so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Pemsec. Chichi.
So there are just two last questions from me. One is, we all know in the southeast, and Imo State is included, that people are very passionate about land. Are very, ancestral land is something that people take very seriously. To be able to do agriculture, you will have to get, people to give their land, or, so how are you getting the citizens to be part of this development plan? Or have you done anything so far, or is it something you're planning to do in the future? Then my second and final question is about the change in government. We know that the governor is on his last 4 years, and there's going to be a change in government. Do you think that this plan will exceed this government? And if not, what are you going to do to make sure that the next government that comes in place will continue this plan?
Even if this present government goes away, it will be continued by the community. The sustainability program is there. So whether this government is in power or not, the community will carry it along because they are the main beneficiaries. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Can I join? Okay, let me just say it. Now, we were talking about, we were asking how fast we can run before the change of power. Okay, it depends on the time frame that PIN and their development partners have if we are successful in this competition to develop this roadmap. Do you understand? It all depends on that. Then if at the end we don't conclude before hello? Okay. Now, if at the end there is a change of government before this the process is completed, then that's why we involve the critical stakeholders who are the the civil servants. They are the civil servants, so they will remain even when we leave. They will remain, and because they were part of the process from the beginning, they will also present it to the new administration and say, look, this is what we painstakingly did, and we got support from so and so to develop. So why do you need to abandon it? Even if you want to if you have a new idea, let it come within the framework that we have already done. So that is the way out of that. You talked about community government council. Imo is the only state that is running that system of government. We call it 4-tier government. Now, the reason for that is we're taking the government back to the people to engage them, just like as it is provided by the OGP, Open Government Partnership. We involve them in everything that the government is doing so that they take ownership of that. And when someone takes ownership of a project, he will protect it, he will preserve it to make sure that it succeeds. Those are the strategy we are using. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So during this time, the judges should be making their calculations, and we're going to give the opportunity to the audience to ask the delegation from Imo State 1 or 2 questions. So please raise your hand if you want to ask Imo State a question.
Okay, my name is Choma Oleru. I work with the Widows and Orphans Empowerment Organization. I want to know why are we not talking about like a state development plan, just like Lagos and Akwa Ibom? Why are we just talking about the agri sector? There's a lot that has to be done in Imo State. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Christiana. Just straight to my question. Sirs, you talk about creation of jobs. You keep pondering upon it. But we all know that there are specific kind of jobs that this grant can actually offer. So what plans have you made, and what kind of jobs do you think that this grant will offer? Then another question is, you ponder on rural, you're more concentrated in the rural area, but this is a state development plan. And I believe that the state is made up of both rural and urban, and these places also have their issues. So I think it's imperative that you tell us the plan you have for both rural and urban, because if you just concentrate on the rural area, the urban settlement will actually suffer from neglect. Thank you.
Let me, the first question was on what we are discussing. Why is it not like the Lagos plan or the Cross River plan? Is that your question? Okay, we have not gotten there yet. We are making a proposal, and we are passionately asking for support to do a plan which we call Agenda 2040. the Imo we want. Are you getting it? So it is by the time we get the support and do this plan, you cannot be looking at the Imo we want. The 20-year plan will be done. Not now, we've not done it. This is just a proposal. Are you getting what I'm saying? So by the time we come up, maybe next year for NDDF, we'll now be looking at how far we have achieved the development, the Imo we want plan. So right now, we're not discussing the Imo we want plan. This is just a proposal. This is just a proposal. Is that correct? Is that okay? Then the next question, is that okay? Okay, the next question is, she said, talking about creation of jobs. Now, the plan, the grant that we are competing for is to help us plan, do this development plan, not to implement the plan. You understand what I'm saying? Hello? I said the grant we are looking for, we are competing for, is to support us in the process of developing this plan, this 20-year plan that we have proposed. The grant will not be used to create the jobs. I don't know if it's clear. If I'm wrong, call my attention so that I can. Okay, the next one is rural areas. Why are we focusing on the rural areas? And now, remember, we said we want to focus on agribusiness development and rural industrialization. Now, it does not mean that is the major focus. It does not mean that the other sectors will be part of the 20-year plan. I don't know, but our major focus is on rural industrialization and agribusiness development. Is it okay? Thank you.
Please, let's give the Imo State delegation a round of applause.